Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
I found her.
I'm here.
Yeah, she was missing yesterday. She went out with Mama Sparkles.
I was.
And now she's back for all the fun.
Yes, it's fun, in quotes, fun.
All the fun. We're going to talk about Mandalorian star Pedro Pascal comparing Trump supporters, Trump voters, to Confederates and Yahtzees.
That's right.
And he pulled this post down. It was on Instagram, but the damage has been done. Mm-hmm. And, it's very curious that he would make it. Look, you're allowed to have whatever political opinions you want.
Right.
Right.
You're allowed to vote for whoever you want to. That's how the country is set up. And someone needs to tell Pedro and all these other people that.
So, but beyond that, like, Disney is in such a bad place right now with Star Wars. And there's already controversy around Pedro Pascal. Is he quitting? Is he not quitting? Whatever. Having your lead go out there and make comments like this that could potentially alienate half of your audience.
Right, because about half of people in the country voted for Trump.
Yeah, probably not a good business decision.
Probably not.
I'm just going to put that out there, Disney. Probably not a good business decision. And we'll see if there are any repercussions. I don't think there will be, though.
Probably not, because it's the opinion that Hollywood is backing. Now, this is coming from people who are pretty much in the middle. We try to stay in the middle. We're just looking at it objectively. Take that as you will. Yeah,
so anyway, he did post something on Instagram. This is what he posted on his Instagram account, that the Confederates were losers, the Yahtzees were losers, and the MAGA hat people are losers.
So racist, genocide, and Trump.
Yeah, so this is, the very current year. Now, we're going to talk about this because, we had this discussion before. Last week, we did a video talking about the outcome. And look, to be honest, we still don't even know the outcome. Everything's, whatever. We're not going to talk about that specifically.
But the takeaway is, it's so close that the majority of people in the country aren't far left or aren't far right. They're in the middle.
Right. That was the takeaway. That, the fact that there were razor thin margins, again, you can argue who won the margins, whatever. That's not what the video is about. But the fact that things were so close shows that there are a lot more conservative-ish people in the country than Hollywood wants to believe.
Contrary to what Hollywood and the media want to tell you, they're not all right.
No, in fact, yesterday, and we'll talk about Twitter, because yesterday was on Twitter, got into an completely unintentional Twitter fight, because you can't say anything on Twitter.
No, especially you. You have an account that you never hear from these people ever.
No.
Until you dare make an account, a comment that is like in the middle, and then how very dare you? Yeah,
all I did, and I very seldom tweet on my personal Twitter account anymore. I don't have that one pulled up, but I'll just pull this up here. But all I said was, it was interesting that Jorgensen, I'm a libertarian, Jorgensen pulled 1% to 2% of the vote, and I'm kind of like, well, I wonder which way those people would have voted, and would that have made a difference, made it easier to see, who the winner was sooner. And that's all he said. That's all it took.
That's all he said.
That's all it took. And I got somebody who apparently followed me. I don't know why, but they just started jumping on me about Trump
and about racists and fascists. Now I want to take a moment to discuss this fascism thing, because I am so fucking sorry, Mom, tired of hearing fascist everywhere. I don't think these people know exactly what the word means. Because when you think about fascism, you start thinking about things like, Nazism and things like that, burning books, making lists, labeling certain people, trying to identify and isolate certain groups of people. That sounds a lot like something else on one side. Here, I actually looked it up. Fascism. Characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposing and strong regimentation of society and the economy, which came to prominence in 20th century Europe. So then they go down here and they're talking about fascists believe that liberal democracy is obsolete and regard the complete mobilization of society under a totalitarian one-party state as necessary to prepare the nation for armed conflict and to respond effectively to economic difficulties. One party. Because now we're going to label people who don't vote the way you want, because in the United States, you have that freedom of vote. There are two parties, and actually more than that if you count some of the other parties, in the United States. everybody who votes for one party doesn't automatically mean that they're the good, best people ever and deserve a cookie. And everybody who votes for another party doesn't automatically mean they're Nazis, for lack of a better term.
So Twitter, you can't say anything. And we had this discussion even before the election. We're like, okay, so if Biden wins and Trump is out of office, will Hollywood calm the fuck down? Mm-hmm. Will comic book artists and animation people and all that, will they finally de-escalate?
And it is exactly what I said it would be.
No. The
answer is no.
The short answer is no. And I think what's going to happen is there's going to be more doubling down. And people who are constantly, especially if they're an activist minded, they're always looking for problems. I did a video yesterday about the PS5. And the review kind of turned into this big manifesto on politics. And it was just supposed to be a review for a gaming console. And the author of the article was even like, well, sure, we got rid of Trump, but we're going to have another white man in the White House. I'm like, oh,
whose fault's that?
God.
Whose fault's that? But beyond that, people are tired of it. 2020 has been a hell of a year. Yeah. People have had enough to deal with. They do not want constant political bullshit into everything they post, everything they read, everything they watch. They are getting sick of it. And all you're doing is making people pissed and turning them against you. That's all you're doing. And right now, Disney's hanging by their fingertips. They don't need this. The one thing they have going for them is the Mandalorian and the cash cow Baby Yoda.
Yeah, Baby Yoda don't hate.
I put that in the article, actually.
Oh, you did? Baby Yoda. Well, maybe it's true. Maybe the rumors about Pascal are true and he doesn't give a shit anymore.
I didn't say he doesn't hate, but I'm like, he's being upstaged by a puppet who doesn't get political, and everybody agrees that the puppet's awesome and they love Baby Yoda. Be like Baby Yoda is what I said.
Yeah, so, yeah, he's always, here we go. Be like Baby Yoda.
People are sick of it. And most people are in the middle. They're neither extreme, which we keep saying over and over and over again. And we come from a place of in the middle. We are neither extreme. But we're sitting back watching the behavior and we're like, look, there's bad behavior on both sides and bad behavior is not okay. I don't care which side you're flipping on. Your shitty behavior is not all right.
So Gina Carano, who, if I had to guess, I don't know if she's made it explicit or not because, she's in Hollywood and she wants to work. But if I had to guess, given her social media presence, given that she's calling for there to be a fix to the election process, etc., I would have to guess that she probably is a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
But I mean, to be fair, though, there were a lot of weirdness around the election. There was a lot of problems and issues. It's not a partisan thing. It's just there were a lot of things that were questionable. Most of it was because of the virus and being 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, you could trace it back to things had to be changed because of that, which led to doors being open, which could possibly lead to questionable things that are coming up now. So it's been said for years. They said last time there was election process needs fixed.
Yes.
When they didn't win.
That's true. So anyway, I gotta wonder because she said that she got all kinds of pushback on Twitter.
She got bullied on Twitter.
Got bullied because she would not put pronouns in her bio.
That's why she got bullied. Yes.
Yeah, and she said, "Well, I talked to Pedro and I just agree to disagree." So I gotta wonder.
So he said he explained to her why, but she still didn't do it because it wasn't her thing.
Yeah,
she's like, I understand that. That's okay.
If you want to do it, that's fine.
That's cool. But she didn't. She never took a side against anyone.
No, and I think she's been pretty much a class act on things. I mean, she's not going to let people bully her, but she's gotten all kinds of hate. So now I have to wonder, if there's going to be a little conflict on set. Provided there is another season and they're working together and nobody gets killed off. If there isn't going to be a little conflict, because basically Pedro Pascal is calling her side Yahtzees.
Well, here's the kicker, too. We don't know if Pedro Pascal is still going to be there, but we do know that she's supposed to be getting a spin-off show.
Okay, well, maybe she's
that's
like,
the rumor that she's getting her own show.
Here.
No, but they watch him change that because how very dare she call it a fix. The point is, I'm so tired of Hollywood and the media telling everybody else, basically you're sitting on their pedestals from their political viewpoints, telling everybody else they're all calling them names and being rude and just being dicks. I am sick and tired of it. I think that it's shitty and it's unprofessional, and I really don't give a flying fart who you voted for. I didn't care 4 years ago who you voted for. I didn't care 8 years ago. I didn't care 12 years ago. I didn't care. That's not your job. Your job isn't to call me names and tell me who I should vote for. Your job is to be an actor and make entertaining, films.
So, yeah, and I don't know if they're going to do that, because I think it's a case of, I think you become almost addicted to outrage or finding fault in things. And I'm like, how soon will a lot of these people turn on Joe Biden? Because I said yesterday, Joe Biden has speech yesterday, and he said in the speech, he was trying to unify America. He said to make progress, we have to stop treating our opponents as enemies. They're not our enemies. They're Americans.
And I agree with that.
They're not Yahtzees.
I've agreed with this sentiment for years. I think that the political parties have spent so much time on both sides trying to campaign for the next election and not actually doing what they're supposed to be doing and not doing their jobs and using America as chess pieces instead of actually, helping the people like they're supposed to. So whether you like Biden or not, whether you like Trump or not, the idea that, just because they voted differently than you, like it's been the case for hundreds of years, that's not your enemy. Now if it's been decided, now you got to work together, because now we got to figure out what we can do for the best of everyone, and stop treating people like they're your enemy because they didn't vote the same way as you.
Well, I think Mr. Biden, should it be finalized, and I'm going to say finalized, should it be finalized that he is indeed our next president, might have to have a heart-to-heart chat with AOC.
I agree.
Because AOC, as he's calling for unity, AOC is out there calling for a blacklist of anybody who supported Trump. That they're building a website.
Yes.
And they're going to archive everybody's everything and basically make them out to be political enemies. So I think he's going to get some pushback on that. And I think Hollywood is going to push back. And I think these crazy comic book artists are going to push back. They're not going to forgive and forget. They're not going to move on.
Right. So we're going to make a list of people that should have to, apologize. And of course, it's never enough for who they supported or what they did. Some of these people's jobs that they talk about being lawyers and stuff, that that's their job to be hired. That doesn't mean they agree with them. There's a lot of lawyers who represent people that they don't agree with, but that's their job.
Yeah. Yeah. Neil says it right here. The irony of these people making these lists is that they love to call other people Yahtzees, and they're doing
exactly.
And that was the fight I got into yesterday, because what happened was, and again, I was just saying, the libertarian vote might have taken from one side or the other. I don't know which side, because libertarians seem to be pretty much down the middle. But we had somebody come in, and I said, basically this election came down to Trump versus not Trump, and socialism versus not socialism, and people who maybe wouldn't have been on board with a particular candidate on both sides normally voted for that candidate just so the other guy didn't win.
It came down to, like it always comes down to, which is the lesser of two evils.
Right.
I mean, that's what it came down to. But again, these lists, so we know who to block, this is, again, fascism, characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposing and strong regimentation of society and the economy.
From
forcible. Obsolete in regard to complete mobilization of society under one-party state. Basically, if you don't agree with us, you're on a list and you have to answer for it. What is this, a Spanish flippant Inquisition?
Yeah, and what I said in that, somebody jumped in there about Trump, whatever, and I think they're a bunch of Yahtzees. And I said, I can't get on board with blacklists. I can't do that. And I was very civil.
That's my problem. I can't get on board with that either.
Yeah, I was very civil. I'm like, look, you can agree to disagree with people, whatever. I don't agree with everybody about everything. And I said, but you cannot, of other Americans, start making lists and it's like, well, why not? They should be held accountable.
Held accountable for what? Just because you vote for somebody doesn't mean that you yourself are personally these bad things. Also, I find it very interesting, because if you look at, I'm not going to name names or label things, but just go do some homework and look into the backgrounds of certain people. And some people that are being supported maybe aren't as clean and squeaky clean and not those things as you think they are.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
And I came across, it's heartbreaking too, because, again, being in comics for so long, we followed, and, there were a lot of people in comics that took a very hard left turn over the last couple of years because of, Trump administration, all that. But I follow people who said, I haven't talked to my mom in 4 or 5 years because she voted for Trump.
Yeah,
I've seen
this
those
is ridiculous.
tweets. I've seen those tweets. I'm like, whoa, I'm like, are these people going to listen to Joe Biden and be like, we're all Americans, we're all in the same boat. They're not our enemies. Or are they going to follow AOC and be like, no, we're going to make blacklists and we're going to make them pay? You know,
like when you rat at your neighbors and they end up on a train.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just like that. But yeah, let's talk about that. But who are the fascists again? You know, I'm sorry. I think this behavior. I don't care which side you're on, which side you lean. I really don't care. What I do care about is the fact that people are thinking this is okay. This is never okay.
No, and I think Twitter is. And I was off of Twitter, my personal account, for months. And I popped on for a week, and that's all it took. And Twitter is not the real world. The people on Twitter, the people in Hollywood, the people in Hollywood that live on Twitter, the comic book artists that live on Twitter, they're living in a microscopic slice of a bizarro America.
Echo chamber up the wazoo.
Because again, we said before.
Well, CNN just did an article saying that 4 years talked about the two white Americas.
The good whites and the bad. Are you a good white or are you a bad white?
Well, and it's like, but meanwhile, they keep doing this, and this is what pisses me off too. I am so effing tired, and every time something goes wrong, it's because you're a white straight dude or whatever. I'm tired of it. Even people who aren't white, straight, or male keep getting labeled as such, keep getting stepped over. And meanwhile, they had a huge amount of people who weren't white, straight, or male who voted for Trump.
Yeah.
So stop spreading the lies.
Are you gonna put? Well, we saw. Okay, talking about Twitter. When they basically said that Florida was swung because of the Cuban vote, there were people on Twitter making derogatory comments about Cubans. There were white people making There are people out there right now, and they're attacking Andrew Yang. And I actually like Andrew Yang quite a bit. And he basically said the problem isn't really so much. I mean, there are racial issues, absolutely, for sure. But he said the problem is urban America versus rural America, and the two have never really been able to reconcile, and they're further apart than ever. And we've said something similar. Oh my God, they were mocking him, and he's an Asian dude. We have white people mocking him.
That's what I'm tired of. I'm tired of everybody being called sexist, racist, phobes, everything else. Meanwhile, the people that are going out there perpetuating this, calling people these names, are the ones behaving like the ism phobes that want to scream about. And you know what? Like I'm allowed to say it because I vote on this side. No, none of it's okay ever. You don't get to go call Zoe Saldana names like I'm not going to repeat them because they're not things I would use because she stood up for her friend. You don't get to call the people from Cuba names that voted against Biden, which is probably more about being against communism or socialism and communism. I'm sorry, because that's how it goes. Socialism and communism. Than it is about being that they like Trump. And the thing is, it's like I am so sick and tired of people sitting there saying that they are the moral authority as they act worse than what they call other people. They're pointing the finger at people and calling them. If you're sitting there, you cannot be the authority. You cannot be the force for good. If you're sitting there calling people who don't agree with you the names that you're mad about, people calling these as people.
Yeah. I mean, that's
racism. Still racism. Bigotry. Still bigotry. It doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right.
This black guy's wearing a MAGA hat.
Yeah. It's like, y'all suck. Shut the fuck up. Sorry, Mom. I got yelled at yesterday. Or not yelled at, but had a lecture about using the F word. But in this case, I think she'll agree with me. And we don't even vote the same way, my mom and I. We're politically opposite.
Uncle Joe says they're not our enemies. They're Americans. Are you going to listen to Uncle Joe?
I'm so tired of having to look at people and be like, my first thought has to be, well, I don't do this, but according to Twitter, is that, what color are you? Did you vote the same way as me? What kind of instant phobe are you? How can I bully you, mock you, and do everything that I complain about everybody else doing so that I can try to shame you into voting and saying what I believe to make sure you all agree with me?
And the sad thing is a lot of the people who are calling, all Trump supporters white supremacists are white people attacking minorities.
Yes, exactly. That's my point.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Like I said, I was appalled. I'm not going to pull him up, but there were people taking Andrew Yang, who's a Democrat, by the way. Mm-hmm. Andrew Yang, he was in the running. It was Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard.
Both of which we would have voted for.
I would have voted for either one of them with a completely clear conscience. I would have been fine. Disclaimer. And I would have been cool. I was hoping for a ticket with both.
And Tulsi Gabbard, who was kind of tanked by Harris.
Yes,
who lost anyway and called Biden a racist until she was on the same side as him.
Anyway,
then her morals and her her own principles didn't matter anymore.
Yeah, it was very vicious. It was a very vicious debate. But anyway, they were calling Andrew Yang out. They were calling him a sellout, and they were like, how dare he say that we try to reconcile? And the thing is he's not wrong. And we said before, there's definitely a split between urban America and rural America, and I think a lot of this attitude from Hollywood and from comic book people, comes from that urban. Yeah. Because you look at people like Chris Pratt that are from a rural area, and he's not going to throw his friends and family under the wheels of the bus. But then you have people that grow up in a more urban area, and they're in Portland, and they're in LA, and they're in New York, and it's just like, oh my God, just a bunch of redneck Nazis.
I just wanted to tell you what the definition of racism is. It is prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that their own race is superior. So if you're out there calling people names because they didn't vote the same way as you, and you're basing what your name calling on the color of their skin or their race and what they are, then you are racist. It doesn't matter if you voted for Biden. It doesn't matter if you voted for Trump. You are a racist.
Yeah, I prefer to deal with people on an individual basis.
Like normal people. And sexist, characterized by showing prejudice, stereotyping, or discrimination based on sex. If I don't care if you're on the left, I don't care if you're on the right. If you're making derogatory comments against somebody that aren't even fair based on what gender they are or how they identify, you're a sexist. Voting for Biden doesn't mean you aren't one. Voting for Trump doesn't mean you are one.
There you go. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens. Again, we don't even know if this thing's confirmed yet. The media is saying one thing. Anyway, I don't think it's going to end. I thought maybe this would end. I thought, well, maybe, if it...
I didn't.
I thought maybe it would end. And what's going to happen is...
Not on Twitter. When has it ever ended?
People that are hungry for conflict are going to find it. So what will happen is it won't be enough. And I honestly think because Biden's pretty moderate, I think before it's all said and done, they're going to eat Biden alive.
Does anybody actually believe Biden's going to get through 4 years of presidency?
That's a whole.
Let's be honest.
That's a whole other issue. But anyway, assuming he does, I think they're going to turn on him absolutely. Because when the first thing he's saying is, these people who voted for Trump are not our enemies. They're Americans. We're all Americans.
Because it's the truth.
But there are some people who, frankly, do not want to be Americans. They don't like America. How are you?
Then leave.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know what to tell you. If you want to stay and help fix things, that's fantastic. If you think it's better in Denmark, by all means.
Then go to Denmark.
They
probably don't want you either, because you'll just go there and start a bunch of shit.
We're going to wrap this one up.
Yes.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants. I got to tell you, we were talking about, I don't even know if I want to watch The Mandalorian at this point.
We hadn't got a chance to watch it yet. We were going to watch it today, and this happened, and now I don't even know if I want to watch it. And I liked The Mandalorian.
Yeah, we liked it. And I'm just like, come on. That's the one good Star Wars thing they had going for them.
I'm just tired of it. And the thing is, and the kickers are like, well, yes, because you're Trump supporters. And guess what? I didn't vote for Trump.
I'm a libertarian. So
take it as you will. I'm independent.
Whatever. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We do rants here. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.